Curtain Network.
¡Pique de piques! ¡Pique de piques! ¡Pique de piques!
Pittsburgh Steelers fans, what's going on? Welcome to the Steelers preview and a special pseudo watch party for the AFC North grudge match happening as we go live between the Baltimore Ravens and Cincinnati Bengals at M&T Bank Stadium. I'm Jeff Hartman. Joining me as always, Brian Davis. What's up, Brian?
Hey, fellas, Thursday night. It kind of was a warm one here in Maryland for the middle of November. And yeah, I tell you what, it's really good football weather.
It absolutely is. They said at the M&T Bank Stadium, it's the 55, I think, or something. I was like, man, in middle to late November, that's amazing. Dave Schofield, welcome to the show. What's up?
Hey, it's good to be here. If you didn't see it there on the Twixter today, where Jefferson twixted it out about our lovely Steelers tree, go check that out if you didn't see that already at Jeff's Twitter. So I was with the Hartmans earlier today. Unfortunately, Bad actually has other obligations and couldn't join us for that. But when we waited till about as late as we could to get it done, it was we had to go when we could go.
Well, hey,
the Hartman kids running around acting a fool.
That's okay. I was there last year. It was a lot of fun. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and superimpose myself in the picture.
Yes.
And with you guys, and I'll set it out. And
Okay.
I was there in spirit.
I have a huge problem right now.
Yeah.
Why is an official from Baltimore officiating a Baltimore game in Baltimore? I don't understand.
Because the
Why are you
casual
allowed
fan
to do
doesn't know he's from Baltimore.
But
Well,
yeah,
that's the same thing as why did Gene Steratore ever do Steeler games? He's from Washington, PA.
he shouldn't. Because my thing is, it's not even just about bias towards a team. It's also that person has to go home and live in that fan base area. You could think that might not even be safe. The NFL could be putting officials in an unsafe area. If the fans don't like a call, that dude's probably getting his house egged. If they know. I mean, because he works with my wife. Everyone at the lab knows that he's an NFL official and everything. And it's probably, I don't know, it's a county over from Baltimore County. So I don't like that. That should be a policy. Okay, sorry, I'm done.
Well, yeah, I mean, I get it. It makes sense, but it is what it is. So we're going to keep tabs of the Ravens and the Bengals as we go on the show. It's not going to be like a straight up watch party. We're still going to talk about the upcoming Steelers game versus the Cleveland Browns. And I'm going to ask you all a question that I feel is very appropriate. And this has kind of been a sentiment on social media recently with Steeler fans. And it's a sentiment of when Deshaun Watson was done for the year, which shocked everyone, including Browns fans. Was your reaction, nah, he wasn't that good anyways, or was it, wow, this is a big advantage for Pittsburgh? Brian, what was your take?
Actually, a little bit of both, because I always thought that they played Deshaun Watson fairly well. But I always worry about an unknown rookie coming in. I mean, he looked great in training camp. He did not look good in the regular season when I'm talking about Dorian Thompson, he's hyphenated. What's his full name?
Dorian Thompson Robinson.
DTR.
Okay, so DTR. I got to try to remember those letters because I'm not going to remember that name.
So, yeah, I don't know. It's still you have to beat the defense as far as I'm concerned. I'm not really concerned about much of anything. I'm still concerned about that running game because it's the hogs up front. Nick Chubb is fantastic and he's not there, but still, look what happened when he went out. And was it Ford that reeled off like a 70-yarder or something like that?
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, so they still have a very good running game without Chubb. You do have to stop that. So I'm really not. You still have to beat this team, and you have to act like they have top-notch personnel, because it doesn't matter what happens when divisional teams play each other. Everybody's top-notch.
Dave, what about you when you heard about Deshaun Watson going on season-ending IR due to his shoulder surgery that's scheduled? What was your reaction?
Well, as they line up for 50-yard field goal, sorry. My reaction, I don't want to tip off too much of what I'm going to do with my pick later, but my first thought was not a big deal. Honestly, I kind of didn't like it because I thought, all right, the Browns are already upset with the Steelers because the injury to Chubb happened against the Steelers, and it's the rivalry or everything else, AFC North ball. But then I thought this is going to be something for the team to rally behind. They've got to circle the wagons. Watson won't be back this year. We've got to figure it all out. I'm like, that made me think this could be bad for the Steelers. And then they announced which quarterback they were going to start. And I felt much better. Because honestly, was it PJ Walker?
PJ Walker, yeah.
Okay, I knew it was Walker and it was I thought it was PJ and not DJ. But he beat the 49ers, didn't he? He was the quarterback when they beat the 49ers. I'd have to look to see. What
he had a winning record.
So
he had a winning record.
Yes, he does. But then when they said that it was they're going to go with the guy that the Ravens couldn't even get 100 yards rushing or 100 yards passing, not Ravens. The Browns couldn't get 100 yards rushing or 100 yards passing against the Ravens. I'm like, yeah, now I'm starting to feel a little bit better, and I'll explain that even more when we go to do our picks.
Yeah, I agree. Like, at first, it's like, well, PJ Walker reminds me a lot of Tyler Huntley in Baltimore. It's not the starter, but at the same time, it's not going to be easy or simple. And then they say, oh, we're going to go to DTR, Dorian Thompson-Robinson. I'm like, why would they do that? So on my Friday Let's Ride podcast, I have John Suchan of the Fanatical Elves on. And even them, the Browns fans are kind of asking the same questions. It doesn't make sense to them. Kevin Stefanski is painting this picture that DTR is more suited for the offense they want to run. I think a lot of fans are skeptical of that reasoning. It just doesn't add up. Like, it doesn't add up to me at all in any way, shape, or form. But hey, that's life with being a Browns fan, I guess.
If they're going to take a game or two to figure it out that they should go with Walker, let's let one of those games be against the Steelers.
Yeah, and I saw someone said, "Oh, lucky Steelers." Like, lucky Steelers. You act like they had something to do with this. Like,
yeah.
I don't know. Like, Deshaun Watson is going to be out. What are they supposed to do? I don't know. It's a weird situation, and the Steelers are going to have to rise up and make plays. I do have a question about this upcoming game as it pertains to the Steelers offense. I'm not trying to beat a dead horse here, but I just want to ask you all what you think needs to change, if anything can change, to get this passing game at least to the point where it can maybe back defenders out of the box. You know that the Browns are going to load the box. You know they're going to say, we are not allowing Najee Harris and or Jalen Warren to beat us. So we're going to force Kenny Pickett to beat us. What do they have to do different, Brian, in your opinion?
I'm just going to say, and I feel like there's still a leash on Kenny Pickett. And I'm going to say that the middle of the field, and that seems like slim pickings. That's low-hanging fruit to say they need to use the middle of the field. But yeah, I think he could do so much more by going in the middle here.
Okay. Dave, is it that simple? Just targeting the middle of the field more?
If it's open. I mean, if the middle of the field isn't open, I think that it could be open. I think that they're even specifically not always running. It's almost like they're avoiding the middle of the field, like it's the middle of the field is lava game is what they're doing. Like, if your kids have ever played before, it's lava.
Yes,
that they do that in order to then actually use it when they needed to, like they did with the play to George Pickens that got called back on the penalty. That they actually use the middle of the field. Oh, we lulled them to sleep. They don't think we'll use the middle. When it counts, then we are. I say that tongue in cheek because I hope you all realize that I'm joking about that, because that's just would be a dumb philosophy. But that's the biggest thing that this passing game needs to do this week. Do they need to go out there and win the game? I'm hoping they don't. I'm hoping that all the passing game has to do is be enough to back the Browns out of having 11 guys in the box.
Yeah.
That's all it needs to do.
Steelers Freak took one of my keys and he said play action. In
Oh, yeah.
play action, everyone says, well, you got to be able to run the ball to run play action. That's actually not true. You just have to fake and sell the run well enough, and then it'll open up. So that's one thing. The second thing, the Steelers love to do, they like to run 11 personnel, one tight end, one running back. Keep using Darnell Washington as that blocking tight end. And if you're going to insert Pat Freiermuth, put him in the slot. Like, can we see that a few times? Every time leading up to the injury to Pat Freiermuth, his hamstring injury, all we saw was the same old thing. And when I say that, it was him in line. He wasn't healthy. Everyone said a chest injury was really hampering his blocking ability. Didn't look like he had wanted anything to do with it. So let's treat him like Travis Kelce and see if that works. He's an athletic guy. He's not that athletic like Travis Kelce, but he's more of a put him in the slot, see if you can get some mismatches, get him on a linebacker, get him on a safety, something like that. And yeah, maybe you then see what Brian's talking about. Pat Freiermuth over the middle because he's open and he's winning those matchups. I think with Pat Freiermuth coming back, which let's assume has not happened yet. He has not been inserted into the 53-man roster yet. That won't happen until probably Saturday if it happens at all, but still something to note. Any other final thoughts on the offense, Brian or Dave?
Go ahead, Brian.
Just continue to try to run the ball, but try to open it up and let Kenny make mistakes. When I say let him try to make mistakes, and that's going to sound crazy, you're going to probably wondering what I'm saying here. Let him test. Let him be a little more of a gunslinger. I think he's a little more timid right now. Unleash him, or let him unleash himself, is what I'm trying to say.
Okay, Dave?
I was going to go to Pat Freiermuth. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, getting Muth back is going to be so great because the Steelers really need to use the middle of the field and everything else. But honestly, they didn't use him before he got hurt. He appeared in 4 games and had 8 receptions. He only had 1 game where he had double-digit receiving yards. And that was against the Raiders, where he did have 41 and a touchdown. But the rest of his totals were 7, 2, and 3. So, and I don't think it's him. I think it's that they're not, where is he the strongest? In the middle of the field. What are they not using? The middle of the field. So it would be great to think, oh, they'll start using the middle of the field when Freiermuth's back. They weren't doing it before he left. So I'm not holding out hope that that's going to change things. It should. I just don't believe that it will.
Well, that's why I went with they got to use him differently. I don't think you doing the same thing that they did prior to his injury, or just saying, hey, Darnell Washington, Pat Freiermuth's back. You're just going to go back to the bench and we're going to Pat do your job. That's not going to work either. He's not that good of a tight end, or a blocker, I should say.
Yeah.
So speaking of Freiermuth, who's still dealing with a hamstring injury as he works his way back in the 21-day window, let's talk about the injury report. Dave, do you have that handy?
Oh, well, of course I do, Jeff.
All right, go ahead. Let's talk about the Steelers first.
All right. Well, they had no new names on Thursday from what they had from Wednesday. And two names went away, the names that were just because of rest, Patrick Peterson and Isaac Seumalo. So the problem was, of those names, there was 8 names. 7 of them didn't practice. The only one who was limited was Freiermuth coming back with the hamstring. You had Cam Hayward, didn't practice. I already said the other 2, Montravius Adams, Minka Fitzpatrick, Keanu Neal, Deontay Johnson with his thumb. But today, Johnson was back as full. I kind of expected that. Freiermuth moved from limited to full. That's a good sign. Cam was back working some, but he was limited because he's an old guy. They're not going to make him do everything.
Yeah.
So that's the good news. The bad news is, in probably reverse order, Montravius Adams didn't practice with an ankle, but I think some people wouldn't mind seeing Keanu Benton getting more snaps right now and showing what he could do. Keanu Neal with his ribs didn't practice, and the big one, of course, no Minka again. Now, Minka is a guy that he could be limited on Friday, and if they felt that was enough, they'd probably still have to list him as questionable because he didn't practice and then was limited. But he could be a guy that could play. Anyone else, Minka, Cam, TJ Watt, that's probably about it. Anyone else would, maybe Deontay Johnson. Anyone else, if they don't practice as much, they wouldn't be able to play. So that's it for the Steelers.
Okay. Brian, what's your thoughts on the injury report?
It's always disconcerting this time of year when you see anybody on there, but we've noticed this a lot lately, that when the Pittsburgh Steelers do an injury report, they're doing it with caution too. So until I see that Friday report, I don't worry too much on Thursday anymore. I do feel like Minka, I like what Dave was saying there, but I just don't see it happening.
Yeah, I don't either, though.
I just kind of think that they're being very cautious with Minka, and they almost have to. But as far as everybody else goes, resting those guys, that's actually resting guys with some more age and longer in the tooth. I'm fine with that as well. I think every team is battling the injury report this time of year, and it's how you manage it and manage it well is the way you can get away putting players out there. So it's not always a bad thing to keep a guy out of practice that that is going to perform. We saw this with Larry Ogunjobi last year a lot, and you had no doubt that he was going to be effective in games too.
I think with Minka, you don't want a Pat Freiermuth situation. Remember, Pat Freiermuth came back to practice. What happened? Yanks his hamstring again. Now he goes on IR. That's the last thing you need. So I'm fine with him taking a little bit of time for Minka. Dave, correct me if I'm wrong. If he doesn't play this week, is this the fourth game he would miss?
I'm pretty sure this is the third.
Okay. Because if he doesn't play in Cincinnati,
he missed most of the Jaguars game, but he played in that game. So it wouldn't have, if he doesn't come back for the Bengals, then he could have been on IR.
He could have been on IR, and you could have replaced him on the roster. So other than that, I just don't know what the hell they're going to do if Keanu Neal and Minka are out. I think what they say, what's the guy's name? He came up.
Trenton Thompson.
Trenton Thompson could be a starting safety for the Steelers.
I've seen that movie before.
Yeah. Well, thankfully,
I remember Steelers fans were in love with him during the preseason. He played well.
Yeah, but am I correct? Wasn't he in the Buffalo game last year, or was this a different guy? No, that's a different guy. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's I can't remember that guy's name.
I think he wore the same number though.
Yeah.
So, all right, the Browns list was a little bit longer, was it not, Dave?
Oh, just a little bit. I'm just going to look at
skip
Thursday.
The rest. Skip the people that were rested.
Yeah, there's plenty of rest.
Injuries.
So if it's MIR, I'm not doing that. Okay, so wide receiver David Bell, knee limited. This is just Thursday. Guard Michael Dunn, calf, but he was back to full. He had missed some before. Marquise Goodwin, wide receiver, concussion, didn't practice. That means he's probably going to play. Tackle DeJuan Jones, knee. Didn't practice for the second straight day. Okay. Cornerback Greg Newsome, second, groin, limited. I'm pretty sure he was limited for both days. I have to scroll so far down just to get to the other one because this list is so long. And then rest. I mess this name up all the time. Defensive end Ogbo Okoronkwo. I did my best.
Double O.
Yeah. He was limited with a groin. After, let's see, he was limited both days. That's another rest. Running back Pierre Strong Jr., hamstring, but he was full he was full both days. Why'd they even bother to list him? Here's one that's interesting. 77, guard Wyatt Teller, ankle, did not practice for the second straight day. Safety Juan Thorhill, calf, did not practice either day. Denzel Ward, this one is another one to really pay attention to. Neck limited. Now he's been out. He was limited both days. He's been out. I think he's coming back. And then defensive end Alex Wright, knee limited both days.
Huh. Brian, that's a lot of movement on the offensive line. What are you thinking?
Yeah, the DeJuan Jones thing. It's funny because when Jack Conklin went out, everybody was salivating because you had a rookie in DeJuan Jones there, and he actually played very well against the Steelers. And he has been decent. He has been a find for this team. If he's out, then wow, you're Wyatt Teller, the same thing. they're hurting, but how many of them will be playing? When I look at those defensive backs like Newsome and, of course, Denzel Ward, I'm expecting if they're limited, I kind of expect them playing. Limited to me means that they're okay. It's a lot better than DNP.
Yeah, but those cornerbacks had been missing at least one or the other for several weeks now, hasn't it been? The only reason I know this is I was listening to Jim Wexell on the Steel City Insider, which you can catch on the Steel Curtain Network. You could go anywhere where you get audio podcasts and it'll be there.
Yep.
Now I'm trying to remember what he said. That it was that's part of the reason why the pass defense, although it's still number one in the NFL by the Browns, it hasn't been as good recently. I mean, look at the number of points they gave up against the Colts, against the Ravens in the last few weeks. Now they shut out the Cardinals, but my goodness, the Cardinals seem like they're trying to lose that game. Yeah. So Brian brings up a very interesting point about the offensive linemen. My thing is with Jones being a rookie, him missing 2 days, are they going to feel comfortable if he just comes back one day and plays? Now, someone like Wyatt Teller, he could be limited tomorrow and still have no injury status. He's like a Cam Hayward. Yeah. So that one will be real interesting to keep an eye on.
And we'll have all that for you at steelcurtainnetwork.com, where we hope that you're checking daily to see all the latest articles and commentary. I do want to plug this before we take a quick break and come back and get into our over-under and give a little update on the Thursday night game. Mm-hmm. Something that we did on our YouTube channel, for those that are watching live on YouTube, hopefully you saw this. Coach KT Smith, now he does not do a YouTube show. He does an audio-only show with Brian Davis once a week, the Here We Go Steelers show. You can hear that on our audio-only feed every Tuesday morning. But he does a lot of stuff on YouTube with me for the NFL feed. He does the NFL Whip Around. He does his own Call Sheet podcast there. But he just started doing breakdowns, where what he does is he gets on the camera and he's showing film and he's explaining things. And he did a recent film room of the Steelers running game and how they did what they did against the Green Bay Packers, rushing for over 200 yards. Really, really cool video. It's about 18 minutes in length. If you kind of want to know what exactly is happening with the Steelers, that's the way to go. Check that out. If you've missed it, go to our videos and you will find it down.
Lamar's down.
Oh boy. Lamar Jackson is
honestly
down.
I do not know how on the pass rush from the far side with the tackle of the Ravens that wasn't called a trip. Did you see that, Brian?
Yeah. I just Lamar's I see him being tended to, but I haven't seen a replay.
He tried to flip the ball out of bounds. Oh, his ankle. I have no idea what they're looking at.
And I'm gonna make this comment while we're saying
Sorry,
this.
Jeff. We had to say that.
This is a different looking team without Mark Andrews too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
I don't see what I guess his ankle.
It's almost
left
like his
ankle.
wrist.
Oh, left ankle right there. No. Left
That's
ankle.
What I thought.
It looks like he's holding his arm too on the bench.
But he's on the sideline on the bench holding his arm. Or is someone looking at his? Nope, they're looking at his ankle too. I don't know. So Afton says our feed is way ahead of hers. It's also way ahead of Jeff's.
No, I actually went to my phone. And it's better.
Yeah.
It was my television that was really far behind.
Yeah.
So very interesting stuff.
That's a decent return.
Brian, did you say you wanted to say something?
I have no clue.
Lamar Jackson went down. We're trying to figure out what's going on.
We got into this game. It's kind of a watch party in the blue tent now.
Yeah.
There you go.
Now,
what were we even talking about?
I was just plugging.
You were plugging KT Smith's
running game breakdown.
Yeah.
Now, where can you find that, Jeff? Because we kind of
on our YouTube channel.
It's on the SCN YouTube.
I do want to say something about that. My gosh, did you read the comments on YouTube? And what you don't understand, I've had the pleasure, and I mean, this is not just say because this is a Steel Curtain Network guy. Man, I get a clinic every single week for the last 4 years, every time I work with this guy, because he is a coach, and I don't care that he's just a high school coach, because it's not just. He's a high school coach, but he is a coach and he knows exactly He knows how to take care of players. He knows schemes. He was an offensive coordinator. He is so good. And this was an absolute clinic. I've always called him a clinic, but it really is. And watch this. You learn something. I learn so much more about football every single week when I'm talking to this guy.
Yeah, no, he's a wealth of knowledge. He's great at what he does. Check out those videos. He's starting to do some more NFL type stuff. So if you want that, you can subscribe to the Fans First Sports Network YouTube channel, and that's where you can find that stuff there. So we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to go into over-unders. We're going to talk predictions, and we're going to talk trivia. We'll be right back after this break. All right, Steeler fans, welcome back. Ravens and Bengals are deadlocked 7-3 in this game. Lamar Jackson's injury status up in the air. And
Mark Andrews is ruled out.
Has been ruled out with, is it knee?
Ankle.
Oof.
Yeah. See, Jeff, but there's a lot of sports going on. Pens and Devils are tied 2-2 at the end of the second period. You've
Penguins
got
are red
it
hot.
in BC. That's where Coach T is right now.
Yep.
He's there watching Dino play at good old Acrisure.
Yeah. So there's a lot of stuff happening right now. We're trying to keep you updated as the Bengals are driving. So let's talk about some over-under, shall we? Dave, you ready with the updated numbers?
I am ready with the updated numbers. I actually did my homework and had it all ready to go. Last week, is this the right one? Why am I starting to? What was the line last week? Steelers were favored by 3.5, right?
Steelers 3.5. It's a total of 39.
Yeah, so we had Pickett TDs at 1.5, and
correct.
DJ receptions at 7.5. Okay, or 7.5. Yeah. Okay, so I was making sure that I didn't go back to a week too far. All right. Well, Brian.
Hey, before you read me, I'm going to go preemptive strike here. I'm going to go back 30 years, and I'm going to challenge my inner Kramer and just go, I'm out.
Brian, you did all right. You got 2 right.
That still sucks.
It's twice as good as Jeff.
Yeah,
Jeff only got 1. Jeff took all the overs, and the only over he got was on the Steelers rushing yards. When I took but unfortunately, Brian took that as the under. That was the only over of any of the stuff that we did. So Brian got 2, I got 2, Jeff got 1. That means Brian's at 16, Jeff's at 19, and I'm at 22.
There you go. Still within striking distance.
Yep.
So let's go ahead. We have 5. Stayed away from a lot of the individual stuff today. Went with, obviously, Kenny Pickett's going to have a number, but mostly team stuff. So you all ready for this?
Let's roll.
All right. Kenny Pickett total yards. Okay. And we'll make this passing yards. I want to make it passing yards, not total yards. And, thinking about how this game could maybe wind its way down 220.5 to be specific. Brian, what do you think?
I think he's going to have to be over in this game.
Yeah. What about you, Dave? What do you think?
I'm taking the under. I'm taking Kenny's going to throw as much as he has to. And as I watch Lamar Jackson walking to the locker room,
he's leaving. Yeah.
Oh no! Now he's turned around and walking back. He's doing circles. Sorry,
he's trying to run.
Yep. I'm saying the under just because I'm hoping that Kenny doesn't have to throw for 220 yards in this game because the run game's going.
I mean, 220 is not a huge number. That's the thing. Dude, I'm not saying
126 last week.
I know. So I'm thinking he's going to have to throw it more than that because the Browns are going to stop the run and stack the box. So if the Steelers have a chance of winning, I think that he's going to have to at least move the ball through the air. I'm still going to take the under.
What's the higher ranking for the Browns defense, against the run or against the pass?
I'm going to say it's against the run.
I go with the pass.
Because Brian must have listened to Stat Geek and not Jeff, which is probably the opposite of what actually happened. The Browns are number 1 against the pass in the NFL. They're 7th against the run.
Okay.
So
yeah.
It all depends on those corners, though, really. So Jeff's going with the over, right?
No, I said under.
You said under 220?
Yes, I said he's going to have to throw it to do it, but I said it's going to take the under still. All right, let's go with Pittsburgh Steelers sacks. Sacking, I guess in this case, DTR. We'll set it at 3.5, Brian.
I want the over today. Let's go over. I haven't
All right,
taken that in a
Dave?
while.
TJ Watt goes bonkers against the Browns.
Seems to.
That's why I'm taking the over. Only because I'm not saying that the Browns have a good offensive line, but for some reason TJ Watt goes bonkers against the Browns. So I'm going over.
I'm going over. I think it's just 4, but I think it's enough to go over that 3.5 mark.
6.
Oh,
Let's go 6.
I like it. I remember games against the Browns where
But
the Steelers had 8.
I'll be honest. No, well, here's the thing. Maybe this isn't where I should go into it, but I'm going to anyway because it came up. I want them to get 6. The problem is, I think the Browns can win this game if they have 12 or less passing attempts. I said before that they need to run. Remember last time that we played the Browns, Brian, when we did the show ahead of the Browns games? And I'm like, hey, what they should do is run. They shouldn't even think about passing until the Steelers actually stop the run. And of course, Stefanski had to throw in the pass. Maybe with the rookie quarterback, it's the excuse to never stop running. Maybe he'll actually do it. And honestly, that's what they should. That should be their game plan. Run until the Steelers actually stop it. So I want them to get a lot of sacks, but I don't even know how much they're going to pass the ball. So we'll see.
It's true. It's a good point. It's definitely valid. Let's go to the other side here with the Cleveland Browns sacking, I guess in this case, Kenny Pickett. Let's set that line at the same line, 3.5. Brian, what do you think?
I'm going to go with the under on this one. 3.
2 in a row with Brian and I agreeing. I'm going with the under as well, just because the Steelers have game planned. The Steelers try to do to the Browns what other teams like the Packers and like the Texans and all them, what they try to do against the Steelers, and that is get the ball out quick or things of that nature, so they can't kill you with the. And he missed it from 53. So they can't kill you with sacking the quarterback lunch.
Okay, I'm going to go under as well.
Yeah.
The Steelers just have done a good job in pass protection the last few weeks. I think they've only surrendered 1 sack the last 2 games. So I think that trend continues. I think Kenny Pickett's going to have a sack or 2, but I don't think it's going to be huge. I'll take the under. How about Pittsburgh Steelers takeaways? Defensive takeaways. We'll set that line at 1.5, Brian.
I want to go over on this. Man, I'm getting a little too
excited
over. Yeah, I really am. Optimistic. There's all kinds of O's here. But let's just go ahead and say over.
Lamar is jogging onto the field into the huddle.
Yeah, he's been cleared. He's good.
Yeah. So if we're going to do this as a watch party, we got to say that too.
I get
Brian,
it.
you're a little bit frustrating because I write down my pick before you say yours, and now we've agreed 3 times in a row. I'm going over as well. The Steelers for the season are averaging 2 takeaways a game, and they're playing a rookie quarterback.
They're only going to have 1. I'm taking the under. If he's not going to throw the ball a lot, then you're going to have to rely on fumbles, and I think that's a lot less likely. So I'll take the under. I hope I'm wrong, but I'll take the under. Let's go with Pittsburgh Steelers team rushing yards. And I have this line as a team set at 105.5.
Under.
Dave?
I'm going over. I think they will run the ball 45 times if it takes that much in order to get more than 105 yards.
I'm going over as well because remember this is team, so think Kenny Pickett scrambling for 15 total yards. It's going to bump that up. I'm going to take the over with the rushing yards. Pray that that's right. Okay, so there you have the over under. Dave, did you get all those?
Oh, absolutely, I got them.
Okay, very good. Let's talk predictions now. As we dive into the spread, we have the Steelers are getting a point still on the latest spread. So Steelers +1. The total Buckle up, baby. 33. 33. That's hysterical. Okay, Brian, what's your score prediction? How do you see this game going?
Well, so if you go 17-16, you have a push. I mean, defense is one thing. Yeah, I mean, I still think I'm looking this game to be 19-16 game. So I'm gonna have to go with the over here, just barely. But if we're gonna go with the over, I'm still gonna go with the Steelers this week. I've got this feeling. I don't think they're gonna go for Ohio. I don't think they're gonna go 2-0 in Ohio, but I'm gonna go with the win this week.
So what did you say for that score again?
19-16
is what you said?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I was talking to one Brian Anthony Davis on the phone yesterday and told him, I said, you know what? I could see the Browns rallying. But there's something about this game, and as the week goes on, how you think one way or the other. And I said this to Brian, and I still believe this. If it's a close game, I think the Steelers find a way to win. This would be the first time in a long time that the Steelers would have a close game if they don't win. So it just seems like that's the way they're built, that they can come through. Now, if you're going up against the number one pass defense in the league and you got to do it at the end, that could be one thing that gets you down. But I said if the Browns go to win, I think they win in a blowout. And then with them choosing who they went to at quarterback, I don't see it being a blowout. I could see the Browns not scoring a touchdown again, but they have a really good running game. So I think maybe they can find the touchdown zone there. But because of everything, the Steelers, how they are against rookie quarterbacks, or at least they had been until they had to face CJ Stroud. But anyway, everything kind of up in the air in Cleveland. I am concerned about Minkah Fitzpatrick. I am concerned about the Steelers' coverage ability of their inside linebackers, because I was going to point out, people were like, oh, Mark Robinson, let's get him back out there. Remember last year, Mark Robinson in Week 17 played a ton against the Ravens. Then they came out against the Browns, and what did the Browns do? As soon as they saw him on the field, they went at him. They changed to a pass to go after him. So that could have been dangerous. But that was Deshaun Watson. I don't know that they're going to do that with the rookie quarterback. So therefore, I think this is actually play. I was all week, I was saying, I'm going to go with the Browns because the Steelers are going to need at least a game to figure out what's going on at inside linebacker. They're going to need at least a game. But if what you really have is more run stoppers, this is the game to actually have those guys out there. So that's why I actually changed my mind, and I'm going with the Steelers with the push in the over-under 20-13.
Okay. All right. My prediction, I think the Steelers, this is going to be, I'm actually taking the under. I think the Steelers win this game. It's going to be boring. It's going to be a slugfest, whatever you want to call it. But it's going to be a defensive game, and that's what we all expect. I've got the Steelers making enough plays, 17-13. I've got the Steelers winning 17-13. I do have a question as a quick follow-up before we get to trivia. Do you think this Steelers team has a comfortable win at any point this season, Brian?
Yeah, I actually think they do. It might have to be against New England. Even though New England plays some teams tight, but I would probably say New England or Arizona. So that December 3rd, December 7th game, possible if that remains a December 7th game. I don't know if I know they can flex Thursday nights, but they're probably
they're inside the window already that they had.
Yeah, they are. They
okay.
That changed. Yeah.
So that is going to that one's going to happen then. So it would probably have to be one of those games there. It could even be the Colts game. But I could see all those games going close. I think it's going to happen at least once. They probably need one game where they go a little nuts. Yeah, it's going to happen.
Dave, do you think there's going to be a game where we don't have a heart attack and the Steelers actually take care of a team?
Yeah, I think it's going to be against the Green Bay Packers. Oh, wait, that didn't happen. So I'm going no.
I'm starting to lean that way and thinking maybe they just don't have it in them to put a team
Once
away.
they get the lead, they decide all they want to do is take care of the ball, not turn it over, unless they're running the ball just right down someone's throat. Because if they get a lead, they'll continue to do that, and they would have to score like 4 rushing touchdowns in a game.
Yeah. You almost described Green Bay.
Yeah.
All right.
I got a bonus over under for you guys.
Sure.
Like it.
Okay, hold on.
No, we're gonna count it. Say we count
That's
it.
up to you guys.
We got to count it.
Okay.
Okay, we'll count it.
If both of these teams could maybe be leaning on the run, do you think we're going to have a lot of long possessions and have it be fewer possessions per team? I'm going to put the number of total drives, not counting ones where it was just a kneel down. Those don't count. If a play is snapped, it's not a kneel down, it counts as a drive. I'm going to put that number at total between both teams at 15. We'll say 14 and a half. Sorry. I got to put the hook out there for you.
Total number of drives. You're combining both teams' total number.
Yeah.
What is a normal number? I got
last week against the Packers, the total number was 21.
So you're saying 15? Is that the number you gave?
Well, I said 14. Let's go 15 and a half. I went the wrong way with the hook.
Okay. I'm going to go over.
Mm-hmm.
I'm feeling over myself.
Okay. Well, see, that's why we weren't going to bother to do this one. I think it could be over, but barely. I think that's right around what it's going to be. The only thing that's going to change it is if both teams have a ton of 3 and outs, or if there's a lot of turnovers. Other than that, I think it's going to be a low possession game, and that's why it could be low scoring. Is it might, points per drive might not be terrible. There just might be less drives.
That's true. That's true. All right. Brian, did you figure out trivia? I know you didn't have.
I do have trivia. I have actually 2 questions, and they're both going to be somewhat Jeff Hartman friendly. So here we go. The first one. The Steelers and the Browns shared many a quarterback. Of course, they shared Mike Tomczak, Josh Dobbs. There's other players in there, Len Dawson, and of
Bruce
course, Gradkowski, and Jeff's all-time favorite,
Dick Shiner.
Dick Shiner. Here's the question. Where did Dick Shiner go to college, Jeff?
Shoot. Was it in Ohio school?
It was not.
No. I don't know this.
Close to home, baby.
Did he go to West Virginia?
No, he did not.
Oh.
University of Maryland. He was a Terp.
Oh, he's a Terrapin.
Yeah, I asked you this one before.
You did?
That?
Yeah. Or either Bad did. I remember. Maybe we didn't do it on the show. Maybe we didn't. But I remember that. Dick Shiner in Maryland coming up before.
I didn't know Dickie was a turtle.
Yeah. He was a slow. Okay. So let's go ahead and talk, common Browns and Steelers. And we're going to combine. We're going to go my typical 80s way that I like to do, but we're going to also do the 2010s. So number 1 picks in the 1980s, the Steelers had 2 number 1 picks. And in fact, this was in consecutive years that ended up on the Browns. In the 80s. Pardon me?
In the 80s.
In the 80s. In the 2010s, the Browns had 2 number 1 picks that ended up on the Steelers.
I know that one. I got that one.
Okay, we'll let Jeff do it then. 2010.
So I'll give Jeff the chance to do the
2010s. They were Browns first round picks that ended up on the Steelers.
Yes.
So like Joe Hayden.
Yep.
Is there another one you said?
Yep.
Yeah, they had to be back to back.
And I would tell you
Gilbert?
this,
Was it
Jeff,
Marcus? Was it Gilbert or something?
Justin. Yep.
and I remember it was cut down day when they made that trade, and Jeff and I, this was early
Yes.
on in our
We're at the playground.
relationship. We were at the playground, and our kids were playing, and we're like, "Oh, Justin Gilbert!"
Yeah,
Yes,
I remember that.
We've got a star now, baby, Justin Gilbert.
Didn't
Let's
pan
talk
out.
about the '80s, though. Two
The
number one
80s.
picks and two high number one picks. One was 15 and one was 8 or 9. I think 9.
And they were back to back.
Yes.
Okay. I
85
think I know
and
one
86.
of them. I think I know one. Because you said 86?
85 and 86.
Okay. So 86 is the one I thought I knew was Renstra.
Yes.
Who was the number one pick in 85?
He was
didn't
out of
have anyone-
Wisconsin.
he didn't
It was
have
not
anyone good
TJ
in
Watt.
85. But it was someone it was a defender.
Defensive tackle.
Defensive tackle. They didn't draft anyone good in 85.
Nope. That's the year that they
Wait a second. Didn't they also didn't they draft the punter in 85?
First round?
No.
No.
But they drafted
Yeah,
the punter that they kept around for
Maybe
a while.
Harry Newsome. Maybe they
Yes.
drafted Harry Newsome, yeah.
Yes, that was in 85.
1985 was
remember.
the year that they were trying to draft Jerry Rice in this position,
Mm-hmm.
and the Jets and 49ers made a trade.
But that screwed them.
But instead, they got Daryl
couldn't name
Sims.
Daryl Sims.
Number
Wow.
99, Daryl Sims. Bob Yeager, good job.
Oh, I had it
He had
in
him
the
right
live
away.
chat.
Yeah, he had him right away.
Daryl Sims. He didn't play long in Pittsburgh, did he?
No, maybe 2 years.
All right, I'm looking him up here because I was thinking he wasn't there. I mean, that would have been right around when I started watching or was old enough to really know what was going on.
Touchdown,
And
Cincinnati.
touchdown Bengals. Yep. They take the lead. Burrow to Mixon. No, he only played 2 years with the Steelers, never started a game, had 3 career sacks. Played 2 years in Cleveland, had 10 starts there, but no sacks.
Chuck Noll
That's
kept
not one I
on
know.
looking for that next Joe Green and never found him.
Yep. Gabe Rivera, nope, didn't work. Then Sims, I forgot about him. Honestly,
Gabe
didn't.
Rivera, the thing about Gabe Rivera might have worked. We'll never know.
Yeah.
He had a
All right.
good start to his career.
Yep. That's just sad.
Sad story.
Yep.
All right, Dave. What about you?
Okay, here we go. You listen to Stat Geek or even read my article. Oh, did Burrow hurt his hand? He's got 10 days to recover. Sorry. If you or even read the article that I had on SteelCurtainNetwork.com today, it was talking about Steelers' success getting a lot of passing yards versus Steelers' success getting a lot of rushing yards. And the Steelers actually have a better record when they have low passing yards. And the Steelers have a crazy good record when they have a lot of rushing yards. So much so, since 2015, the Pittsburgh Steelers are 23-1-1 when they rush for at least 150 yards. The only 2 games that they didn't win was the tie in Cleveland and the Scobie debacle. So I was looking at those kind of games, and the Steelers now have gone over 150 yards for the last 2 games. So I thought, maybe I could look and see when's the last time they went over 150 rushing yards 2 games in a row. Yeah, the answer to that was last year. Last year they did it against Indy and Atlanta. What about going over 160? Because they went over 160 yards both of these last 2 games. Any idea when the Steelers last went back-to-back games with 160 rushing yards? I'll give you a hint. I was at one of the games.
Okay, I'm gonna say when Le'Veon Bell was going crazy. I'm gonna say it was in the Le'Veon Bell days, and I would probably think if that's the case, the Buffalo game when he set the record. So was that 2016? So I'll say 2016.
And Jeff's probably going to agree with that.
Yeah,
because
sure.
he doesn't know. You've got the year correct, but not the games.
Okay.
Because the first game where they rushed for 179 yards, I was at that game. It was cold. And Bud Dupree killed Matt Moore. And then the next week, they didn't even score a touchdown. That was in the playoffs.
Wow.
Both their playoff games that they won, they had 179 yards against Miami and 171 yards against Kansas City. So you have to go back farther to get it to where it was in the regular season. And that was actually 2011 in week 16 and 17 against the St. Louis Rams at the time. They had 169 yards and the Cleveland Browns 161. But in looking at all this, okay, you want to say something about that, Brian?
Yeah, that St. Louis Rams game in 2007?
2011.
2011. Okay.
It was week 16.
Okay, so that was I'm sorry. I
you
was
were thinking of the one the 4 years before.
Yeah, that was Christmas Eve in 2011 then.
Yeah. But that got me looking at something, and I was looking at, what kind of streaks do they have? I mean, you go back to the 70s, it's crazy. In 1976, the Steelers had 12 of their 14 games where they rushed for over 160 yards. But that was the 70s. But I was going through, and since 1970, I was looking for how many games they had 160 rushing yards. There were 2 years in there that they did not have a game that they rushed for 160 yards. Any idea what those years were?
85 and 86.
They didn't have to be back-to-back.
Okay.
Yeah.
85 and 87.
85 and 87. That's actually a little bit too far back.
Is off touchdown. Is that Zay 4?
Oh, there's a flag.
Good.
Let's see what the flag is. Lamar's pleading his case to the official. So we'll see what happens here. I'll give you a hint. They were 28 years apart.
Oh.
Yep, it's against the Ravens. What'd they call it?
Harbaugh's got his Wang face out there.
Yeah, but I just saw him.
Wang face.
They're calling offensive pass interference, aren't they? Well, yeah, Becky came out there. Did he actually start blocking him before he caught the ball? I don't know about that one. He came out like he was going to, but I don't know that he touched him before the ball got there. That's a tough call. So, all right. So, sorry, back to it. It was I said 28 years apart.
I have no idea.
Why don't you just tell us what it is?
One of them is very recent. One of them is very recent. What year recently do you think the Steelers wouldn't have had a 160-yard rushing game?
Joe Burrow's hand's messed up.
Yeah, he's going to the locker room. We're kind of focusing on that a little bit.
Yeah, because you know what that reminded me of?
The Steelers.
Do you know what that reminded me of? It reminded me of when Ben ripped up his elbow.
Yeah.
How he was flexing his hand. Like you can tell like there's something not right.
Yeah.
10 days might not fix that, Dave.
That depending on what it is, yeah. I didn't expect him to go to the locker room. That's different. He was trying to grip the football. Oh, that's elbow. The way he came through, I would say, look at that. he went to practice the throw and he just dropped the ball and crumbled like he was about ready to cry in pain. It was, yeah.
Yeah, I see it now.
Mm.
Well, I'm telling you, man, that looks a lot like what happened with Ben.
Yeah. I honestly don't even care about the trivia anymore. What year in the last 5 years do you think was the Steelers worst at rushing the ball?
In the last 5 years, I would have gone back to like further than that, the Jonathan Dwyer years. Like that era was awful running the ball.
It was
the last
actually
5 years.
2019. No Ben.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
They had 159 in one game.
Was that Jimmy Connor?
Yeah. And then in 1991, they only had 152. Jimmy Connor.
Y'all forgot I called him Jimmy back in the day.
Back in the day. So I'm just ready to talk about the game that's on TV. This is.
I'm so sick of the Kelsey brothers. Good Lord.
What commercials?
They're all over the place. All right. While there's a commercial, let's Jeff do Jeff's. Let's have Jeff's trivia. Ready?
Oh, Jeff has trivia?
Well, yeah, I do. One of my favorite memories of Steelers Browns is probably the incredible comeback in the wild card round at Heinz Field, but that was capped off with a Chris Fumatuma-Fala draw to win the game. You all remember this, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yo, yep. Wait.
Okay, so the question is it's a two-parter. The first question, which should be easy, is who's the quarterback of the Browns that absolutely carved up the Steelers in that game?
Kelly Holcomb.
Threw for over 400 yards, I believe.
Yeah.
And then who was the wide receiver that dropped what would have been a game-sealing reception and allowed the Steelers to come back? Do you remember his name?
I believe it was Derek Alexander.
It was not.
Really?
You got the first
Dennis Northcutt.
There it is. Dennis Northcutt had this ball. I mean, Dennis Northcutt had been carving up the Steelers as well. And they were just annihilating the Steelers. Like the Steelers could do nothing defensively against them.
It was
and
Hank Poteet that was getting. I think
Dwayne Washington wasn't much better.
Yeah, Hank was getting ripped up. That's where number one pick Chad Scott got hurt.
Yeah,
and they really missed him.
Go back and watch that play, and Kelly Holcomb throws a beautiful pass. It's like a little out route, and it just right through his hands. Oh my gosh.
Crazy
and that's what
game.
it allowed the Steelers to come back. If he makes that catch, that's it. Browns win, move on. Very young Heinz Field.
Mm.
All right, so it was a great game. Let's do some final thoughts here, and then we'll call it, and maybe we'll see something about. We're not going to know anything about Burrow anytime soon. So, Brian, what's your final thoughts?
My final thoughts are twofold now, and they were not the same final thoughts from the beginning. Maybe just about in the last 10 minutes, I'm thinking this with Andrews going down and with Lamar shaken up a little bit. They have not looked the same since. Now we watch Joe Burrow go where this looks like a really weird and scary injury. And you think about this, and every team, we talked at the beginning of this show that all teams are going to go through injuries this time of year when we did the injury report. But this might be a very significant game for the Pittsburgh Steelers that they're not playing, because it seems like these two teams are beating each other up. And they look very mortal without some of these guys. You never ask for injuries. You never want to see these guys get hurt. You never cheer for injuries. But it's really interesting to see right now that this might be very pivotal for the winner of the Steelers-Browns game on Sunday. The winner of the Steelers-Browns game might actually have a chance at the division if there are some major injuries in this game. And once again, it's a crazy season. We do a show called The Big Picture on the FSN affiliate, and where we're doing playoff picks every week. And it seems like we are changing division leaders every single week, especially in the AFC North. This is a crazy year, but you're cheering for one of the best divisions in football. It's absolutely amazing. So enjoy AFC North ball for the rest of this year.
Dave, final thoughts.
Yeah, it came through. They're saying that it's a wrist injury with Burrow and he's questionable to return. So, and then I just watched Lamar Jackson have like 8 seconds to stand back there, then looked like he was going to ran into his own lineman and technically got sacked. This is crazy what we're watching, things within the division shape right in front of us right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's really crazy. And this could have big implications on next week, but you know what? Doesn't matter about next week. Steelers got a game on Sunday. They need to go out there and, oh my goodness. And his pinky's looks like it was in the wrong direction. It's almost like it was seizing. Anyway, I keep getting interrupted by the game. For those of you listening to this on audio, yeah, this is going to be a whole lot of fun. But the Steelers have the opportunity to go out and make a significant statement by being able to run the football against the Cleveland Browns. To me, that all comes down to the offensive line. The offensive line's starting to come together. They're really doing something. And
touchdown.
I don't know what the flag is, if that's going to be a touchdown or not. So that's what I'm going to be looking at this week. I think if the Steelers win or lose this game, it's going to fall on the success or lack thereof of the offensive line, unless it goes into a shootout, which I don't look for it to do. Penalty decline, touchdown, purple team. So I'm just ready to watch the Steelers play now.
There you go. I've got nothing else to say. Good show, gentlemen. As always, go Steelers. Dave, why don't you send us out?
Hi.
We'll see you next week for another preview.
Network. Get it.
Everybody else gets a little tight.